how trained one should be to do such a to hit the target the way that he did with assassination.
Um, well, it means that you either you've had somebody who's taken that rifle and zeroed it so that when you shoot a target at 200 yards, I've heard two different 150, 200 yards. Um, when you shoot a target at that distance, you want to make sure that when you line up the reticles, the crosshairs, that when you put the crosshair on a particular point, that's where the bullet will hit. Um, it's called, because the earth is, curved.
Mm.
When you fire a bullet, it's basically following the curvature of the earth. And over distance, the longer the distance, if you will, the more the bullet drops. So, for example, if I'm shooting a round, and I call them rounds or ammunition, because a bullet is only one part of the round. You've got the bullet, the shell casing, the primer. The primer is like a little explosive at the base in the center of the cartridge. Then when you hit it, it ignites the gunpowder. So you got those four things: the bullet, shell, gunpowder, and primer. When you fire, like, say, a 5.56 round, which is much smaller, at 500 yards, if you've got it zeroed, so at 100 yards, you'll hit right in the middle of what you're looking at. At 500 yards, that bullet will drop 5 feet. Okay? So what this means is somebody had to have zeroed that rifle so that they knew when they were aiming at 200 yards that it's going to hit either where you're aimed, or you will understand that you need to adjust where you aim at, recognizing that the bullet's going to drop 4 or 5 inches from 200 yards. Okay, hopefully I'm not confusing you yet.
No.
So that's one aspect, that there had to be somebody, whether that was this Tyler Robinson or somebody that helped him, that zeroed that rifle, number one. Number two, then, is the actual shooting, pressing the trigger. Okay, I can teach you, if I've got a zeroed rifle, I can teach you to do that at 200 yards in probably 15 to 30 minutes. And it's a simple matter of put the rifle down, aim at the target, understand what you're looking at through the scope, put the crosshairs on it, learn to breathe, exhale, hold your breath, press the trigger. If teach you to do that, you could make that shot. So the bottom line is there was an element of skill in here. Plus, this gets back to the whole notion of he disassembled the rifle. If you've got it zeroed in and then you take that rifle apart, there's a good chance that you will have lost the zero, so that you have to shoot again to make sure that where you're aiming, where the red dot in the middle of your scope is, that's where the bullet's going to go.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally.
Okay.
Yeah. It's amazing the way that you describe it. Larry, here is one of our audience he has a question for you. Please ask Larry, what would happen if the bullet came from the right side around the ear?
Yeah. No, if you would have seen it from the right side, just put your finger to your ear, hit yourself in the ear. Try to see if you can keep your head. If you get hit unexpectedly in the side, your head's going to move like this. Okay? We didn't see that. On the video, his head does this. It goes down and then up. Down and then up. Not to the side. So, that's why I say this. I step back and say, who's putting that out? I mean, I'm not accusing the questioner of that. That has been circulated on the internet as, oh yeah, this is, we think, what happened. Because this was an exit wound. That wasn't an exit wound. That was an entrance wound.
Mm.
And you can pull up my video at sonar21.com and look at that and watch the exit wound that comes out of this ballistic dummy. You know, it it's like the size of a paper plate, small, a 6-inch hole. So, the what was done to Charlie, it was an assassination. It was intended to kill him, and it did so effectively.
Yeah. The other case, Larry, is with his outfit. Here is what the FBI said.
So when he's first spotted on campus, he has different clothing on, and then he changes clothing on the roof, and then changed back into that clothing at some point, so that when he was apprehended, when he was arrested, the clothing matched the clothing he had on before the shooting.
Yeah.
How do they know he changed his clothing on the roof?
I don't know.
What was he up to, doing a striptease? Music playing. Is it lots of holes in the story? The FBI. I don't know if it was a deliberate effort to mislead people. That's a possibility, or if they're just sheer incompetence. I never discount the possibility of incompetence and stupidity.
And you see the footage, Larry, of the guy who's crossing the road, that you see he has some sort of problem with his leg, and he doesn't.
Well, that's before, right?
Yeah, before, yeah.
Yeah, before the shooting, he's walking like he's limping. Some have speculated that he's had a rifle in his pants, and I've seen videos where some say you can't do it, and others say I've seen videos where you can do it. You can still walk, but you walk, you will have a limp, or it's not a normal gait. So is that how he smuggled the rifle up? Again, they've got images of him on the stairs. You don't see him moving in any of those images. So you can't tell whether or not he's actually bending his knees. Does he have a rifle hidden in his pants or not? Or they claim, because when this first happened, I assume he had a rifle that he was able to take apart. There are some you can take apart, disassemble, and break them down and get them into a backpack. But then the FBI comes up with the story. There's the 30-06. You really don't break that down easily. I've not seen I've looked for it, a single video. If someone can find it, please send me a copy of it. I'd like to see it. Of someone breaking down a Mauser, it's like I could go bring my M1 Garand in here. It's a World War II vintage rifle like this. Some suggest this may have gone back to World War I, but it's got the receiver, what they call the receiver, and then the stock, the wooden part that the barrel sits in. That doesn't come apart easily. It's not a quick and knock it down. Whereas like with an AR platform, an M4, M16, I just push a little screw, if you will, or bolt, and it can break it down in half right away. I mean, I can do that in 4 seconds. But not this. So
here is, Larry, what Candace Owens said about the outfit.
What happened? Something made its way around the entire town and into my tips line repeatedly. It is a very clear image of Tyler Robinson, allegedly taken, I'll say allegedly for safety here, but it's looking right according to my timeline, allegedly taken at 6:38 p.m. at a nearby Dairy Queen. Here is that photo that we can show you. Just take a look at this photo. What is wrong with this picture? A lot is wrong with this picture. First and foremost, 6:38 p.m., you just shot someone. You have gone through great pains to hide your face, to change your outfit. But wait, you didn't fully change your outfit, did you? I'm looking at this photo, and you're wearing jeans, and you're wearing the maroon shirt. Now we have a 50-50 combo of the outfits. And now you're showing your eyes, and you're not fearful at all that you might be recognized. Also, wow, you must have quite the stomach. You don't have a record. Next thing you know, you shoot someone and you're like, I'm just going to go have a meal. You don't seem to be too shaken or too upset. Something problematic is the location, by the way. We mapped this out. It's about 15 minutes away from the campus at a time when we're told that he's idling by, babysitting the rifle. So you can see, we're showing you it's about a 17-minute drive away from the campus. So there should be a lot of footage then of this Dodge Challenger driving back and forth. Okay. And like I said, the biggest thing that jumps at me is he looks kind of content there. So he's got to be a full-blown psychopath wearing half of what the feds told us he was wearing in the morning and half of what the feds told us that he was wearing during the shooting. Okay, so why did he text in this exchange at all and say that he changed outfits? When you've just said, I changed my t-shirt, if that's the reality, you just changed your t-shirt and that was enough? Was it just a t-shirt that he changed? The outfit, again, as I sensed yesterday, has always been problematic. I feel the outfit was the Fed mistake. It never made any sense to say that he wore an outfit onto campus, light khaki shorts and a maroon shirt, and then decided to completely change hours later. Because why wouldn't you just change the t-shirt? That actually makes more sense. Every kid wears blue jeans. You don't have to change blue jeans or change out of khaki shorts to avoid detection. That's not going to go, hey, we're stopping you because you're wearing blue jeans. That's not a thing. It would make much more sense if he had just changed his t-shirt.
Yeah.
Well, look, there's some problems with what she's saying. 6:38 p.m. was 3 to 4 hours after the shooting. She intimated that this was shortly, 15 minutes after the shooting. No, it wasn't. 6:38 p.m. I think the shots took place around, was it 1 p.m. Out there? So I'm assuming this is all local time to Orem, Utah. So, the fact that he's nonchalant 5 hours later, I don't find that surprising at all. But she is correct. Why is the FBI making such a big deal about changing out, quote, changing outfits? Look, you and I, we got the shirt thing going on. I've never heard you say, I'm going to go put on my new outfit. Who talks like that? Yeah, I'm going to change my shirt. We're going to change shirts, or, okay, we're going to come in with conservative shirts on Friday. No, we're not. We don't, our outfits. It's just, there's something weird about the language. And, Candace is correct, noting, so you're going to change your t-shirt, change your t-shirt. It's not like the whole thing was a costume, or was it? So, again, this, the FBI, with a lot of the things it's saying, is creating just more confusion.
And we had the memorial of Charlie Kirk, in which we saw Tucker Carlson coming up, Donald Trump was talking about, and Donald Trump was asked about actually the assassination. He said that he feels that the assassin was alone and no one else is involved. Here is what he said, Larry.
Well, is what you're asking. It would look to me like not. Now, he did have a friend, but the friend seemed to be a little bit surprised.
And here is what Tucker Carlson said at the memorial.
Ultimately, he was a Christian evangelist. And it actually reminds me of my favorite story ever. So it's about 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem, and Jesus shows up and he starts talking about the people in power, and he starts doing the worst thing that you can do, which is telling the truth about people, and they hate it. And they just go bonkers. They hate it. And they become obsessed with making him stop. This guy's got to stop talking. We've got to shut this guy up. And I can just sort of picture the scene in a lamplit room with a bunch of guys sitting around eating hummus, thinking about, what do we do about this guy telling the truth about us? We must make him stop talking. And there's always one guy with the bright idea, and I can just hear him say, I've got an idea. Why don't we just kill him? That'll shut him up. That'll fix the problem. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Everything is inverted.
You know, you see two people. One of them is feeling that what has happened to Charlie is deeper than what they're talking about. And
Yeah.
Donald Trump is trying to say that this is the only guy who was responsible for the assassination and nothing more than that, beyond that.
Yeah, Trump's reaction to this has been pretty weird. There've been descriptions by Charlie's widow Erica and others that Charlie loved Donald like a father. He was like a second child to Donald Trump. Yet on the video footage that got the part that was used in the show that got Jimmy Kimmel fired, Kimmel I thought he made a decent point, a fair point about Trump was asked like the day after Charlie had been murdered that what's your reaction? And he just said something very, just sort of, oh yeah, it's terrible. Hey man, look at that construction project over here. That's what I said. That's weird. That's not normal. If you really have a relationship with somebody that you genuinely cared about, and they've been murdered in this way, I would find it even difficult to talk, particularly if it's someone that's like my son, someone that I claim to have had this close relationship with. Trump's emotions on this have not been normal. I mean, the emotions don't match the story, I guess is what I'm saying. Hey, man, look, we're building the biggest ballroom ever. Yeah, Charlie, he's dead, man. God, but man, this ballroom's going to be great. That is, what I'd call a legitimate target for a comedian trying to make a point that Trump's reaction was just so, so unusual. I'll leave it at that.